Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Little roller up along first. Behind the fence. It's no Buckner. Here comes Knight in the next win. See you in Pittsburgh. Can't wait. Looking, throwing in the end zone.
You're tuned into Game On with Josh Silverberg and Eric Bowe. Talking all things sports. It's
Game on!
Yeah, game on.
Game On, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Not Thursday, but happy Friday to all of you. As I like to say, it's like the good old times. A happy Friday in that sense. I'm your host, John Silverberg. This is Game On, joining you every single week here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I said we would not have a show this week. I lied. That's what I do best. As Carl likes to say, I am the rumor mill galore. Check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Jabba the Mouth, of course, have their own TikTok. All good stuff. And it kind of started last night, and we have, Eric is not here this week. Of course, Speedy is on the board, as always.
Pain!
No, this is going to be pain. This is going to be pain. It's been 2.5 years. This will be pain. Bring him on, Speedy. Oh, God, and everybody leaves.
I'm here. I have no dirty underwear.
Thank God.
Speedy does. Very dirty.
I feel like if you did have that, like, chafing, number one would be a big problem.
I don't even think Speedy knows what chafing is.
Speedy and I had a very long conversation about what a certain blue pill was before we went on the air. Speedy, do you now know what it is?
Yeah, something getting hard.
Did you say that?
It is hard. It's definitely hard.
Errol Marks, ladies and gentlemen. And of course,
if
you don't remember us doing our show, the Sports Loudmouth.
It was the Sports Loudmouths.
That's for sure.
For over a year and a half.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
We have not done a show in a very long time together. How are you, sir?
I'm good. And I'm healthy. At least somewhat healthy. My brain's probably not healthy.
I was going to say, mentally you're not.
Yeah, I mean, people are a little lost when they watch and listen to our show. But, you know, I like to entertain people. I want people to have a little bit of fun and look at sports a completely different way. And that's why I do it. I just love the entertainment part. But I'm happy. I'm good. Everything's good. I'm all good in the hood. And Speedy, you're good in the hood, as you always are, right?
I'm not wearing a hood.
Well, you're probably not wearing any underwear either.
I'm wearing underwear.
Okay.
I have missed all of this, by the way.
I figured.
It was funny. I told my wife last night, I said, you know, Errol's gonna do the show with me. And she goes, it's been a long time since we did the show together.
It has been a very long time.
So she said, I'm going to have to turn the volume down on the TV.
Uh-oh. Well, it will be a little bit loud. I mean, especially when we talk about your Mets and all the other teams that you root for. As we always believe that the New York Mets are not as high valued as we always believe that they are.
Well, we'll get to that later, but they are 21-11. They have
the
best ERA in baseball. I know it's April's actually over. It's now May, and Juan Soto hit not one but 2 home runs first at Citi Field, and they're doing all this without winning. They're winning with doing all this without him really succeeding and we're living up to that contract. But listen, Soto could have a miserable season. I can care less. If he puts us into the postseason and comes through in the playoffs, who cares?
Goodbye.
I said soundbites can happen tonight.
Yes.
I have to learn. I'm going to figure that out, by the way.
Well, the board is here for everybody to use, and you
I
can
am-
actually set up sound bites with you and Eric if you want.
I would love to.
You're gonna have to set it up, but it is here for you to use. You got to send it and add it to the board and put your stamp your name to it. If you want, send it to Tommy Poops, and Poops will do it for you.
Beautiful. I love it. And I'm sitting in Tommy Poop's chair, too.
Yes, you are, and hopefully it ain't crap all over.
I was going to say, any brown on the bottom?
No, but it definitely sometimes smells after he's done with it. And that's my chair.
Why do you
That's like
a
a $400 chair, but I
Why do you
don't
sniff
use
the
it.
chair?
No, I have no idea.
I
I don't sniff the chair, but when he gets
Did
up
you get
and
out of that, Speedy? It sounded like he says, like, sniff, like the chair
you
smells.
know, the room does smell when people are in it. I mean, seriously, yeah, it does. You have a stench to you. I mean, everybody's got a stench. Speedy smells like his grandmother's house.
Oh.
I mean, like mothballs. That's what it smells like.
Is that what you're collecting too, Speedy? You collecting mothballs?
He
Dust-
probably
or
I do not
dust
collect
mites?
mothballs.
What about dust mites? Do you collect those?
You
Why
know,
would I collect them?
Speedy probably picks up the mothballs and rubs it all over his body.
If
you know?
if I was going to pick up mothballs,
You
the
know,
first thing I would do is throw it at
it's
you.
like you will throw it at
No,
me,
mothballs.
and I'll duck and weave, baby. I'll duck and weave. You know?
And listen, I always say this, Speedy, you had an opportunity when he had his neck surgery and he was lying in
Yes.
bed. That was the moment to do
I
something.
was
about it.
never lying in my bed. Actually, my doctor told me not to do a radio show for 2 weeks, and the next day I did a live radio show
That's
when he
smart. Listen
told
the
me not to.
doctors.
Well, because first thing they do is they cut your throat, they move your trachea, and they pull out the disc and they put a new one. So they had to move everything out of my trachea and then put it all back together again. And he says, obviously, being that you moved everything, or we moved everything, we suggest you not doing a radio show for at least a week, maybe even 2. And I said, Doc, I'm doing it tomorrow. And I came on the show with, my neck being practically stitched up, almost 40 stitches, and came out here and did a live radio show. So damn you guys, but I love you guys. And that's why I'm here to entertain you guys.
Well, we have a lot to get to, of course. And we start with the NBA postseason. And Mr. Isolation himself is what we're calling him. But he did win the Clutch Player Award of the Year. And that is Jalen Brunson. Did you think that shot?
me.
Did you think that shot was going to go in yesterday after he weaved and did that unbelievable cut?
Thank God he hit that shot, because if
He
he
knew it
didn't
was
hit
going
that
in.
shot, the game would have been over, because
knew
they
it
would
was
have taken
going
the
in.
ball all the way down and they would have let them go right to the hole and score, because that's what the Knicks have been doing in throughout the playoffs in the last 4 weeks of the season. They pretty much say, "Ole, go ahead and try to dunk the ball," or "Here's an easy layup, go ahead," and chuck up threes, which the Knicks are so good at doing. So,
I mean, it really, honestly, the moment it left his hands, he knew it went in. And because the way you saw his reaction to it, put the finger up, did everything. Usually you could tell if Brunson missed the shot or not. What I was more worried about was how much time was left on the clock still.
I don't get when he puts up his hand and he kind of puts it under his nose like he's smelling something. Is he smelling his ass?
I
or
don't know,
something?
but it's when he does this thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the league's doing it now.
Maybe he's smelling his ass. I don't know. I mean,
Speedy, is that what you do?
yeah, he probably
Do
does.
you stick your finger and you sniff your ass?
Oh, well, he has other people or other things sniffing his ass.
Well, we know that is a whole conundrum that Speedy has dealt with for
It's
years and
definitely-
years and
it's
years.
definitely-
There's a lot of questions for Speedy.
I don't
Speedy
know
likes
if they're
to talk.
questions. I think it's open for questions. but-
Speedy needs a podcast, his own podcast.
well, what do we call it? Underwear seeker or backdoor eater? What do you think, Speedy?
Petey's plots.
Oh, Petey spots.
No, Petey's plots.
Petey's
is-
2 holes.
Is that my tactical for how I'm going to get him with a mothball?
What is up with you and mothballs tonight? You brought it up. You're the one. I mentioned a mothball, and then you tell me you're going to throw the mothballs at me. What did I ever
If
do?
I collected them.
What did I ever do to you?
Speedy, we can't see you on the screen now.
Hmm.
You know, you could show yourself on the screen. You don't have to be like an invisible.
Yeah, well,
I could do that.
there it is.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God! I mean,
now this is really like the old.
now he
Clubhouse.
looks like Jesus Christ. I mean, why haven't you ever? The last time you cut your hair was when we went to the Super Bowl. Am I right or wrong?
Oh my God, it was February. You last time you got a haircut?
That's the last time he got a haircut.
Carmelo would have a field day with you right now.
I think anybody would have a field day with that. I mean, seriously, those bushes need to be cleaned, if you know what I mean.
But the Knicks move on. They go to the next round. They play the defending NBA champions, Boston Celtics. And by the way, kudos to Malik Beasley. That couldn't have happened to a nicer guy with the ball going out of his hands and everything like that. Because if he catches that ball, he's hitting that three-pointer, and that game's tied going to overtime.
Well, I will say this. If you're a New York Knicks fan, you should be happy, but not excited, because after losing many matchups in that series, and they lost practically every single matchup, besides Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns did not look good. Once again, we've seen Karl-Anthony Towns
games in a row.
Towns make the playoffs. It doesn't matter what team he's playing for, and now he's has all the pressure on him because he's playing in New York, and he's playing for his beloved New York Knicks, and he lays up lousy goose eggs, and it's embarrassing. And if he doesn't show up in that series against the Celtics, it could be a pretty good series and a pretty quick series for the old Karl-Anthony Towns. And the Knicks could be looking at moving him in the offseason because Giannis is available.
Well, my question, and I've been saying this, it worked last year with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They got to the Western Conference Finals in Minnesota. I just don't understand the concept of not trying Towns with Mitchell Robinson on the floor together because, again, the Celtics, other than, I mean, they have a little bit of size, but not so much to the point of you can actually out-rebound them in the series with those two. And to me, I think that is something that needs to be thought of. But Thibodeau won't do it because he's so stubborn in his own way.
He's done it a couple of times in the series, but I don't like the way he matches them up. So he has played
Hart
Mitchell.
should be off the bench.
Yeah, he has played Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns in certain circumstances of the game. The problem here is, why isn't Jalen Brunson on the court when those two guys are on the court? Why is Mikal Bridges not on the court when those two guys, or OG Anunoby? All three of those guys should be on the court with those two guys. And if you would look at the matchups against the Celtics, I play the two bigs and then have Mikal Bridges as your 3. You have OG as your 2, and Jalen Brunson as your 1. That's how you're going to beat the Celtics, and have Josh Hart off the bench.
That's what it was last year. And again, they need to extend the rotation, put Shamet in, and
you like Shamet. You really like him.
Well, the one guy I really do like, Speedy, I've said it on the show, who's the veteran on the bench that I really want them to play that they never play
Point
anymore?
guard. Speedy gun. Spit it out.
No, campaign is not there.
It's not campaign.
Well, he said point guard.
He is the point guard.
He is the point guard. Who's the veteran that they have when Brunson went down?
They had him at the trade deadline.
He was the veteran. He started for them a couple
Yeah,
games.
right. You're talking about
DeLon Wright. Yeah. And what is DeLon Wright? He's a veteran presence.
He's a point guard,
he's
Speedy. What are you talking about?
But he's also 6'5".
Payne is a 2. That's what he is. And he chucks
He's a
up
pain in
threes.
the ass to watch.
I can't stand watching that guy. He makes me sick.
Warrens.
He does. And I don't know what the love fest with him and Thibodeau is. The guy chucks up threes. I remember when he played for the Philadelphia 76ers. The guy is not good. Why is he playing more? Even though McBride hasn't had a good series, I play McBride. I know, but I play McBride over him. I don't want to see Payne on the court as much as he is.
They put McBride on the court with Payne, but the issue is, if you noticed yesterday with the Knicks, so the Knicks were up, they were up 13 again or whatever it was,
15
11,
at one point,
15 in like the fourth quarter, and they take Brunson out, and what do? They put McBride in, and then everything went downhill because McBride can't hit a shot. He's turning the ball over like crazy, and he's so small in stature, he couldn't guard a guy like Cunningham, was much bigger than him. And remember, Minnesota asked for McBride in the trade for Towns. The Knicks said, no, we'll give you DiVincenzo instead. They signed McBride to the cheap contract because they thought they were going to get a 3-and-D guy. And he's been nothing but abysmal so far in this postseason. And if I'm the Knicks, I'm looking to trade him in the offseason to trade them, get the value as high as it can be, and put him in a trade if you're going to go get a Giannis or, heaven forbid, Kevin Durant or something like that. But put him in a trade for one of those guys, because I think this is what Deuce is at this point. And he's dropping a lot of deuces in a bad way when he plays. And that's what bothers me, to the point of he's unplayable at this point. But you have to extend the bench in this Boston series. Those guys, the Knicks, are winded. They're exhausted. You can't play campaign for 4 minutes and then have Brunson play 39 minutes against the Celtics. They're going to eat these guys alive in the fourth quarter. That's why I think a lot of the reason in this series the Knicks broke down in the fourth quarter, because they're not extending the bench.
Well, I will say this. Detroit played very hard on the New York Knicks throughout the series.
Defenses in the league.
They pushed them to the limit, and I think that helps. That bodes well for the Knicks against the Celtics. They play good team basketball, and you expect the Knicks, being that they were roughhoused by a very young Detroit team that's going to be good for many, many years, I do believe the Knicks have a better chance now to play that game against the Celtics. If they want to compete against the Celtics and beat the Celtics, they're going to have to play hard-nosed basketball. They're going to have to build up and rebound in the trenches. You need Mitchell Robinson playing more than 20 minutes in the game if they expect to beat a team like Porzingis and Tatum and Brown. These guys know how to rebound. They're good defenders, and they can take over games. They have to do that. And by the way, the point guard play, especially defensively, has to get better because Schroeder and Cunningham absolutely killed the Knicks in that series. Schroeder, yes, I said it, a guy that's been a player that is good. He's fairly decent as an NBA player, but he's bounced around the league. How many times? He's been on 7 or 8 teams.
If I'm the Knicks, I would look into a guy like that.
Well, you bring him in the offseason. Is he available? I don't know. I would look at Dante DiVincenzo. That's the first guy I look at in the offseason because you could probably get him on a good deal. He would love to come back if you decide to keep Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart there. But I think this team, if they lose against the Celtics in this coming up series, I think the Knicks know that they can't get over the hump. They can't beat those.
What if they lose in like 7 games?
I still look.
It's a close, tight series.
If it's close and
down to the
tight,
wire.
maybe you trade Karl Anthony Towns and somebody else, and maybe 2 other players to bring in a Giannis, and then you can get over the hump. But to me, the problem right now is Tom Thibodeau. The not calling the timeouts the way. Yeah, even yesterday's game, how many times that he should have called the timeout?
He lets teams go on runs constantly to the point of it's too late and the game is tired or they're losing. When the Knicks are up 13 in the fourth quarter, he should have called timeout when the lead got cut to 7 or 6, not when they're down by 2 and it's already done. The damage has already been broken at that point. You can't decide, hey, let me just do it now when my team is losing. When you see a team flailing and just chucking up shots and turning the ball over like crazy, you have to call the timeout sooner rather than later before it gets completely out of hand.
Stuff, all the bunch of random people.
Speedy, what are your thoughts on watching that?
I'm not licking anyone.
Yeah, definitely not that. And yeah, it's one of those things where they are getting worn down, and the Knicks bench, which was supposed to be, I'm not saying one of the best in the entire NBA, but still a top 10 bench in the NBA, has not looked like it at all. Miles McBride,
good for you.
Ever since that first series he had last year against the Sixers, has disappeared in the playoffs, and that's a big problem. But meanwhile, Thibodeau's still putting him in as the backup point guard when Brunson got hurt.
Slap that ass.
Because that was the method he was going to 2 months ago, and he's going to stick to his ways with that.
It's good for both.
I agree with you with the fact that Payne should not be playing.
Do you bend the meat?
I like to see Delon Wright too. I like to see Shaman, we were talking about, who's a good scorer off the bench much more often.
The harder the better, right?
Different type of spark, because the Knicks can't be trancing in close games
pulled it out of my
Celtics, and just trying to win on clutch because Jalen Brunson's the clutch player in the NBA.
Who is that?
That's Java.
Men in Black memory.
They can't rely on that all the time against the Celtics, and they're gonna have to clean it up if they want any shots.
What about putting Achua into the rotation as well and getting more defensive interior presence? No, he can't shoot the ball for his life, but I mean, he didn't get it's odd because I forget who they interviewed. They had somebody on one of the shows the other day. I forgot, on one of the NBA shows, and they were talking about how in the first round of the playoffs they didn't play at all, and the coach came to them and said, "All right, this is the matchup for you. It could be a matchup situation." Meaning maybe Shamet couldn't handle a rough series like the Pistons or anything like that. But now the difference between what Errol said as well with what Boston and Detroit are, if you make those turnovers against Detroit, they'll hurt you on the interior. That's fine. The problem is you do a turnover against the Celtics, that lead's going to go from 3 to 15 real fast, like a blink.
I think the advantage the Knicks have in this series is the size. They didn't have that.
I think so.
Yeah, they do. I mean, if they bring in Precious or they bring in Shamet or any one of these guys, they have the size advantage. If they have Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns playing at the same time, who are they going to match up against those two guys? Who are they going to have? Tatum is the second biggest superstar on that team. If you look at it, Porzingis and Tatum are the biggest guys. Now they have Horford there. They have some guys that could be matched up against the Knicks, but they're not every quarter type of players. They're not going to play more than 20 minutes a game. I just think that the Knicks do have the advantage here. And I think Thibodeau needs to, obviously in-handedly try to bring these guys in and put these guys in the position to win. If they do that, I think they steal one from the Celtics in the first 2 games of this series.
And the thing of it is that you also look at the bench that the Celtics have with White and with Pritchard and Cornette and these guys that are coming off the bench for them, and you see what they're doing in the playoffs, and it's just continued success. And then you see what the Knicks, what they're having coming off the bench.
Beneficial.
Payne and
McBride.
McBride
Yes.
is another one. Neither one of them, they're both flop. They're horrible so far. But again, and my thought process is
Consistency. You bring Josh Hart off the bench.
what-
You get
what it was
consistent
last
offense.
year. And again, and my thinking is too with Towns, if he's struggling, I'm pulling him. Because if he's struggling offensively, you know he's not going to give you anything defensively.
No.
The only fear that I have, and I'm wondering if the Pistons figured this out, is if later in games, the heck of Mitch, is that going to come back and hurt the Knicks later on? Because that's the fear with having Robinson in
How
the game.
about if
Learning how to shoot your
Robinson
free throws.
actually goes and shoots
He
200
tried.
free throws? No, but right now, shoot 200 free throws until the series and make sure that you're getting them up there and getting the consistency and the rotation of the ball. If Mitch does that, I still think that he has a beneficial chance of be able to get to the line and shoot free throws. It's been a big problem for Mitchell Robinson, but he's not as bad as Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is like a career 38 or 40%. The guy is the guy is shooting 58%, 56%. It's over 50%. So usually 1 out of every 3 he's going to hit. So if the Knicks can get him to be more consistent, I don't think you have to worry about Mitchell Robinson. You need Mitch, and Mitch needs to get his feet under him. The problem right now with Mitchell Robinson, he didn't have much of a season. He came back at the end of the year. He didn't have enough time on the court, so he's still trying to figure things out. This guy was the best offensive rebounder in the league. This guy was one of the best blockers in the league, one of the best all around.
Huge role at the end of that game. He's the one. If you look,
he needs consistency.
He altered that Cunningham layup yesterday. That kept the lead, I believe, at 2. Or what? No, the one that Cunningham missed before that. He altered the layup shot because if Karl-Anthony Towns is there, Cunningham's cutting to the rim and getting that basket, easy peasy, no problem. Whereas Robinson, being the 7-foot guy that he is, I don't know. To me, the fear that I have is, of course, they have the championship pedigree.
I will tell you who has looked really, really good so far in the playoffs.
God, he's going to say it.
OG Anunoby.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go the other route.
No, I think OG Anunoby has been sensational defensively. He played so very well against the Detroit Pistons. I want to see OG. I'm starting to believe that this Thibodeau defense, where you're shifting players from one player to another, if they're in one position and they go to another, you don't have these guys follow them. I want to see OG Anunoby defend Jason Tatum the whole series. If the Knicks want,
I want him on Tatum, and I want Bridges on Brown.
Yes,
that's what it should be.
And if that happens, the Knicks have a chance. The way they're rotating defensive play calling and stuff like that, it doesn't make any sense. You keep OG, your best all-around perimeter defender, on Tatum, make Tatum and force Tatum to make shots and shoot shots that he's uncomfortable doing. If he does that, I think the Knicks have a chance. They have great perimeter defense. Mikal Bridges, before he came to the Knicks, was one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, one of the top 10. And OG's was one of the top 3. So you have 2 guys that can defend multiple positions. Why not use that as an advantage against the Celtics that have advantages offensively that the Knicks don't?
And I think the other thing, of course, we're talking about the elephant in the room, and that's Tom Thibodeau and how is he going to coach in the series and everything of that nature. I've said this for the last month or two. The Knicks have become an offensive-minded team. They were top 4 in the league this year in offensive efficiency. You have an offensive-minded team now with a defensive coach. It's mixing oil and water together. It doesn't mesh. It will not mesh ever. And I think once this has happened, it's like in the NFL, right? When you have a defensive-minded coach, but the defense is ranked like 29th in the league. Okay, so what's the benefit of the coach being there then? Why is he still coaching the team then? If his biggest asset is supposed to be defense and they're bottom tier in the league, why is he there? Right. You have to flip it to what your strengths are.
Which they did. But before this year, and they brought in Karl-Anthony Towns, They were a top 10 defense, top 5 defense the first 2
Well, I can
years.
tell you why they
Thibodeau was
became-
here.
Yeah, but I can tell you what has happened. Yes, bringing in Towns was a big detriment to the defensive structure of this team because we know he doesn't play defense. We all are self-aware.
And
of that.
Mitch being hurt almost
Mitch
the whole
was
season.
hurt too as well, but then it was also like now you're, Hart can do everything, but Hart can also be a little wild at times and everything of that nature. There was one guy, and I'm gonna I'll die on this hill saying this. He went to the Cleveland Cavaliers as the top assistant head coach. Right? Johnny Bryant.
Mhm.
Why did Johnny Bryant leave all of a sudden to go to Cleveland to be the same position? Why?
I
don't
think it's
because of Brunson's
I think it's
dad.
Brunson's father, being that
Oh yeah.
Brunson father always needs the center of attention. You see him when the cameras are rolling and the timeouts are there.
Who
Where
is
do you
the
see?
top assistant on the Knicks? Is it him?
It's got to be him.
He's
I
always
see.
there for
He's
kids.
always there. He's always in the huddle. He's always speaking to his son. He's always speaking to the guards. Yeah, I think he's one of the play calling defensively for the New York Knicks, and this is a big problem. I honestly believe that they need to use more of Mitchell Robinson in this series. You have to get his feet under him. He has not really had enough time on the court, and even in this series, he played what 17, 18 minutes.
He'll get it this series with Horford and Cornette.
Well,
Get it? He
he
the
needs.
problem about Horford. Here's the problem with Horford though. Horford could shoot the deep three.
I'm not worried about
Robinson's
that.
got it. You don't. I'm telling you, he's an X factor in this series. We all rely on Porzingis too, but Horford's got that veteran
I
presence,
think
he's savvy, and he will kill you for.
I
15
think
and
the
12.
X factor on both teams. Here's the X factor for the Knicks. OG Anunoby needs to shoot the ball more in this series. You need to give him more of an opportunity to score and put the ball in the net. I want to see more of that. Let OG play his game. And also Mikal Bridges. Give him the opportunity to do the things that he is good at. And that's get to the hole and draw fouls. I think that's something that we have not seen Mikal Bridges do for the last couple of weeks. And it's been a problem this season with the New York Knicks. When he was playing for the Nets, he was going to the hole and drawing fouls. He was going to the free throw line.
That
How many
shot that he hit yesterday was.
But I'm asking you, how many times have you seen Mikal Bridges? He's a starter. How many times in this series did you see him go to the free throw line?
No, he doesn't go.
He doesn't.
He always does that drop back.
Because he's
2-point
shooting,
shot,
because
yeah.
they set him up in the wrong position. Everybody wants to blame Mikal Bridges on why he hasn't had a good season. When you look at his numbers, for a guy who's a third offensive option, he's averaging almost 19 points a game.
He had a great game yesterday. He hit the tip of shot. See, to me, the X factor, it's very simple for the New York Knicks. It's Karl-Anthony Towns. I need Towns to give me 20 to 25 and 15 rebounds. That's what I need from him. I need 25 points, 15 rebounds. Because if I have Brunson doing it by himself against the Celtics, and they're gonna lose by 30 every game. And if Towns is not there to be the secondary guy and what he was the last 2 games, which was absolutely abysmal, and we know how Towns gets. When he doesn't score, he gets into his lull of no
needs
defense.
to build toughness.
He doesn't have it.
He needs to build
this.
It's been a big problem. How many times did you see Karl-Anthony Towns last night grimace? He got elbowed in the chest. I mean, dude, you felt you were checking your chin.
What did I see from him in Game 3?
Stop being a peewee.
What did he do in Game 3? He went right up to, I forget if it was Duran or whatever it was, and he pushed him, right? And I said, that's what I want to see. And then after he pushed the guy, Towns went off in that game. He was hitting 3 after 3. He was driving to the hole.
Detroit was, if you watch Detroit, they talk a lot of crap. If you watch what their lips on the sidelines.
I'm amazed Bickerstaff didn't get kicked out of that game yesterday.
Yeah.
I should have been thrown out 4 or 5
They
times.
all have mouths. Reed was talking crap.
Well, Beasley says everything.
And even, did you see what's it? Anthony, not Anthony.
I saw the Hardaway Jr. play.
Anthony Hardaway, what's his name? Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. He was using his elbow. How many times at the free throw line?
Did you see him push Anunoby on the floor?
Anunoby, he was hitting,
And
Mitchell Robinson.
Tibbs did that stupid challenge when he shouldn't have done that, because here's what happened. If he didn't do that stupid challenge, which we knew wasn't going to get overturned, he could have challenged the Hardaway Jr. push on Anunoby. It would have been a flagrant 2, probably, because he elbowed Anunoby and pushed him on the ground after. he probably would have been thrown out of the game, would have been a flagrant 2, and that would have been 2 free throws and the ball for the Knicks.
I would have liked to see Mitchell Robinson get a little bit more aggressive.
He always looks disinterested.
Yeah, but Tim Hardaway Jr. was trying to elbow him at the free throw line. He actually drew a technical foul, I think, against Tim Hardaway Jr.
The Pistons got a lot of teasers.
Yes, I just want to see more aggressive nature for the New York Knicks. If the Knicks want to win this series, at least steal one game in Boston early in this series, they have to be more aggressive, because what Tatum and what the Celtics are going to try to do early in the game is completely dominate. And if they take the Knicks out or make them disinterested in the game, it could be a long, long series.
You know what I want to see? When the Knicks are up by 13 or 14 points, I want to see them put the foot on their throats and continue and build.
They don't
let a team.
They don't do that.
Not let a team come back and go on a 12-0 run like they did constantly. Last year's team did do that. When they were up by 13, they didn't let go.
They're a different team. Last year's team, even though the Knicks just lost so many players throughout the playoffs because of injury, losing Mitchell Robinson, and then they lost Brunson and Randall. They lost a lot of guys in that series. The Pacers series and the 76ers series.
Anunoby in Game 7.
Yes.
Anunoby, Hart got hurt.
I think the one thing I've seen throughout the playoffs and throughout this year is they're not aggressive enough, and they're not tough. There's no toughness. Julius Randle was a tough guy. Dante DiVincenzo has to be tough. So I don't know what that was, but that had to be speedy on that side. But there has to be more toughness for the New York Knicks if they plan to beat a better Boston Celtic team. And it's crazy to say that, because all the moves with the Knicks made in the offseason,
you were supposed to cut.
Yeah,
right.
I would have thought that this Knicks team was better on paper.
And then Cleveland comes out of left field with Atkinson, and they do that.
I don't think they came out of left field. They had a good roster. The problem was they didn't have a good coach, and you could see when you have a good coach, it changes everything. And Kenny Atkinson is a great coach.
But Bickerstaff, I think, is a really good coach too. That team won 15 games last year. And what did he finish? Second in the league, coach of the year. Who won coach of the year this year in the NBA? I can't remember who it was. Speed, do you remember who it was?
I don't know.
It was literally, to me, I'm like,
who cares?
How did JB Bickerstaff not win coach of the year when Detroit had a 28-game losing streak last year? How do you not give it to him? And that team showed fight in this series. They were third in the league in defense this year, and you saw it.
No, Atkinson did win it.
See, to me, here's the thing. Cleveland still had Garland and Mitchell and all these guys. Detroit was a laughingstock for years. People were calling Cunningham a bust after the first year because of the way he was horrible.
He couldn't stay healthy
and everything like that. This guy comes in here his first year. They make the playoffs. They get it to 6 games. They have a talent deficiency against this Knicks team, which on paper we know it shouldn't have been close. And they made every game, less than 5 points or whatever it was in every game. That team showed fight and heart and passion in this series, and you saw it. And the Knicks were so out of their element in this series, but they got through it. You know. And by the way, when do you ever see Jalen Brunson talk smack back to the crowd after he hits a shot? He never does that. This was the first series where the crowd was Jalen Brunson was finally treated like a superstar. And they were calling him flopper because he was being treated like
he does flop.
Oh, he does a lot, but he was being treated like a superstar in this series. Now, my next question is, and I'm very curious about what this answer is going to be. Everyone was not prepared for this. He's already smirking because he's a little worried where this.
I'm not smirking. I'm wondering where you're going with this.
Top athlete in New York right now. Now I'm talking not just regular season.
Yeah,
you have to include the postseason as well. I heard a lot of arguments today. Judge, because of the regular seasons that he does, but he's small. And you have Brunson, who every year in big spots when the team needs a win, 40-point games, has these outbursts, gets them to the next round, everything of that nature. You have other guys in this town. Probably.
I don't think it's any close. I don't think it's anywhere
it's
close.
Those two. I mean, the only third guy I could think of that he's not on the tier of these two, but I mean, he's been clutch is probably Lindor, but because of the grand slam he hit to get the Mets to the NLCS. but it's between Brunson and Judge, I would have to say.
Yeah.
And one's come up big spots, and one's come up small.
It's not even close. It's Judge. It's Aaron Judge. I mean, he's the superstar. He's the face of not only New York baseball, he's the face of baseball right now. And yeah, he hasn't been good in the playoffs, but eventually he'll figure it out. As we all know, A-Rod did. Eventually, Aaron Judge will figure it out. But if you look at and stop, Speedy, mute your mic if you're going to dial in. You tap your keyboard too much and it makes too much sounds. I told you, if you're going to type, make sure you mute your mic. The fact is, if you look at Aaron Judge,
turn my mic off.
If you look at Aaron Judge and what Aaron Judge has done, go look at his numbers the last 4 years. I don't think it's anywhere close.
I think since April 27, Judge has hit 63 home runs, 100
batting 427.
He has 163 RBIs since April 27th of last year.
It's ridiculous. It's not human. If you look at what he's doing right now, it's comparable to Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, who was on steroids, he's one of the greatest hitters. I think Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player of all time. If you look at his numbers, I don't care if he did steroids. Bud Selig allowed it, and I don't care. When I watched Barry Bonds play, he was just unbelievable. He was just an unbelievable specimen. Now you look at Aaron Judge, his numbers in I think in 163 games or 164 games blows Barry Bonds' numbers out at any point of his career if you match it up. So it's pretty incredible what he's doing right now, and it looks like every year he gets better. Last year, there's no way he's going to have a better. If you look at what Aaron Judge did last year, the only player in Major League history to do what he did, all those numbers from straight through when you look at the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, Babe Ruth was the only player to put up those numbers.
And I asked you this question on purpose because you're a Yankee fan and a Knicks fan, so I have to first.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I agree with you on the Judge thing. He is the best player in his sport, period, in the discussion.
He's the best player in New York in all of the sports.
I think of the postseason. That's my only thing.
Brunson hasn't won anything until Brunson takes the Knicks
but he
to the finals.
He shows. I mean,
Aaron Judge.
He's had bad luck.
Say whatever you want about Aaron Judge. His team went to the World Series, did they not? You're going to say that he had nothing to do with it. Leadership has a lot to do with it.
I will say
defense has a lot to do with it.
All right. I'll give you a scenario here. It's a good one. I just thought of this while you were speaking. If the Yankees don't have Judge on the postseason roster last year, and just Stanton and Soto, do they get to the World Series?
No.
In the American League?
No.
Oh, I think
no.
they do.
Because Aaron Judge played out of position. He was the center fielder. And if you look at Aaron Judge, he didn't have
all last year, though.
I'm just saying, if Aaron Judge, watch what Aaron Judge does in the field with his arm strength and how you can move him in multiple positions in the outfield and his leadership really. And by the way, just think about it. You got to pitch around him to get to Soto. So if he's not in the lineup, what are they going to do? They're going to pitch around Soto. So what I'm saying is he was protecting those guys in the lineup too. Nobody wanted to make a mistake to Aaron Judge, even though Aaron Judge was not good in the playoffs. You don't want to pitch around him because if he gets a hold of a ball, it's going to be in another hemisphere. So I disagree. If Aaron Judge wasn't on that roster, they do not make the World Series last year. It's crazy to think, and I'll explain something to a lot of people that you want to say that this guy doesn't play well in the playoffs. If you look at Eli Manning, okay? Eli Manning completely changed what the Giants did in the playoffs the 2 years that they won a championship. And everybody compares what Eli Manning did throughout the playoffs. I mean, in the Super Bowl. Let me ask you guys a question. If Eli Manning wasn't on that team, do the Giants make the Super Bowl?
No.
I disagree. Because I disagree. I'm going to tell you why. Because the Giants' defense and their running game in every single year, in 2007 and 2011, was everything in the playoffs for the Giants, all the way to the Super Bowl. Now, Eli Manning actually was an important piece to the Super Bowl in 2007, the passes that he was throwing and the big plays at the end of the game. Yes, they don't win the Super Bowl without Eli Manning. But all the way to the Super Bowl, I beg to differ. The Giants' offense really was their offensive line and their dominance at the line of scrimmage when they ran the ball. And their defense was amazing in 2007 and 2011. So, again, when you go back and you look at it, Do the Giants make the Super Bowl without Eli Manning? You can argue that they would have.
But my thing is, though.
But you can argue that they might have not.
But my thought process is if the Knicks don't have Jalen Brunson, do they get to the playoffs?
Yes, I do. I think they do because I'll tell you why.
So.
I'll tell you why. And I disagree with you. When they brought Wright in,
but who were they playing?
I mean, who were they playing?
Who were they playing? They were playing the lower tier teams.
It doesn't matter. I'll tell you this: the Knicks were never 100% healthy all season long.
Yeah,
even when Jalen Brunson wasn't in the.
Yeah, but Brunson is the glue that puts everything together for the team to complete them offensively.
And he don't play any defense.
If he doesn't play in this series against Detroit, they lose in 5 games. Period. They're not beating Detroit. They're not. They're gonna get.
I guess if you're running the offense through him the whole time.
Yeah, of course, because they're going to get killed by Detroit. Who's running? Who's going to score 40 points for them?
Basketball is a unique sport because I've seen players go down and other players pick up the slack.
Who's picking up 40 points? Towns wasn't doing it.
Well,
Towns definitely wasn't doing it.
Well, Towns wasn't doing it because the ball was pretty much going to.
And how many assists did Brunson get yesterday? What did he get? 10 assists yesterday?
I understand that, but again, I know you like to look at assists. You look at assists.
It's not just the assists. It's the way he got the assist. Though, look at what he was doing. Penetrating with the ball and doing no-look passes to Bridges under the basket and trying to get everybody
If you
involved.
post up a poll right now, who is the best New York athlete or who's the most important New York athlete in any sport, and you put Brunson and Aaron Judge on that list,
that's what my question should have been. Most important New York athlete.
I would say Aaron Judge.
And I would say Brunson.
If Speedy could put up a poll, I absolutely believe it's Aaron Judge.
My personal opinion. Want to know all the New York athletes? A team that would be a disaster without him. That's the most important. Francisco Lindor. I don't know where the Mets would be without Lindor.
Well, I beg to differ. I mean, I'm not Alfonso Soriano. Pete Alonso has been as important than any player on that Mets roster.
100%. But at the same time, it's the thing is with.
Do they beat Milwaukee last year without Pete Alonso?
Do they beat the Phillies without?
I'm just saying they would have never seen Philadelphia if it wasn't for Pete Alonso in that 3-run.
Okay, fine. Better question for you: do the Mets and Speedy? You're a Met fan. Do the Mets even make the postseason without Lindor getting hot at the end of the season last year?
Fair enough.
Do they?
No.
They don't even sniff the postseason. That's why he finished second in the MVP race. That's
fine. And all the dumb Met fans thought that he won the MVP when Shohei Ohtani had 50-50.
No, nobody thought he won the MVP.
Oh, stop.
What Met fan thought he won the MVP?
Are you kidding me?
What?
How many people that I've heard Met fans?
Did you won the MVP, Speedy? No.
Well,
who thought
there are a lot of senile Met fans. What do you mean who? You don't know any of the guys. I'm going to name guys.
I don't know any of those people because I don't want to know.
Keith Hernandez came out and said that he thinks that Peter.
No.
Francisco Lindor. I remember Keith. Let me speak. Keith Hernandez in that broadcast said that if it was up to me, I would give it to Francisco Lindor on what he did in the last 4 weeks of the season and really put the Mets on their shoulder.
Well, he was upset because here's the thing about Hernandez. What was Hernandez?
I just named one.
But what was Hernandez? Nobody ever said Keith was the smartest guy in the room. But
just ask me what.
Who? But what was Keith also the best at? He was the best at what? Defense. And what does Lindor play?
Great defense.
Does Ohtani play any defense?
Well, he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. He hits the baseball.
He's a pitcher.
Well, he's not. I don't even know what he's
2
pitching.
years.
I don't know what he's pitching right now.
Yeah, well.
Meanwhile, Yamamoto's been great. See that one?
Yamamoto, but Sasaki's been horrible.
He'll get better. They don't say that about Yamamoto.
Yeah, he'll get better. No Glass now anymore. No Snell.
Yeah.
Those guys are down.
And guess what? The Dodgers, once again, they're going to find random guys from their farm system, and they're going to
got a great roster.
Again, and they're going to do well again, and they're going to do bullpen.
They're going to have the best record,
and they're going to go to the World Series again.
Josh, their system wasn't good enough to rebirth.
They will not.
They'll beat the Mets. They'll beat the Padres and the Giants.
They will not go to the World Series this year. Mark my words.
Who's going to the World Series?
Not them. Not them. My prediction right now. You hear it right now, and I've said it many, many times. The Mets, and stop it, Speedy. Mute your mic if you're going to do that. I hate that sound. No, I'm telling you guys right now. And Speedy, again, I'm going to tell you, if you can't do without doing this the whole show, then mute your mic. It's annoying. It is really, really annoying. Learn how to type instead of stamping and prancing on your dude. There is more people.
That sounded like Clyde Frazier.
Yeah, this guy. I've never seen anybody Actually pound on keyboards. I tell him a million times, dude, if the keyboard breaks, you're going to replace it, because this guy, he manhandles his keyboard on his laptop. And that's why I'm going to tell you guys right now, he's gone through 2 laptops since he started with me, because the guy doesn't know how to actually type. It's mute your mic when you're typing. All I'm going to say right now is, as far as I'm concerned, the Dodgers, and again, are you listening to me? Mute your mic. You keep doing it. I hear you. I'm telling you, the Dodgers are not going to the World Series. There's a lot of, I think the Dodgers have a tremendous amount of problems. When the playoffs start, you're going to see that in the middle of their lineup. After their first 5 guys, they're going to have problems at the middle and at the tail end of their lineup. And I don't, as much as you look at their relief pitching and what their bullpen looks like,
It's more the lineup.
I think they're going to have a lot
lot
of there too. So
what's the World Series then?
I don't know yet. I have to see more. I think there's going to be. I think it's going to be somebody in the NL East. That's what I think. I don't know if it's the Mets. I think Philadelphia, the Braves I think they'll figure things out as the season moves along, and I think they'll make a trade here and there, because I think the Braves have a very good farm system, one of the top 5 or 6 farm systems in all of baseball.
Because everybody's up now at this point, but yes,
I think that the Braves would be absolutely a contender, but it depends. And we'll see, because people get hot in the second half.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. The Padres could get hot. I mean, I expect the Padres to trade off pieces if they start to fall off.
Giants this year.
The Giants could. Yeah.
Cubs,
I love what Buster Posey is doing right now. I really do.
The Cubs, with Kyle Tucker.
I don't trust that. First of all, everybody knows what I feel about their manager over there. But nevertheless,
Craig Counsell.
Yeah, I overpaid, overpriced, overhyped. But they have a pretty good roster, and their rotation looks pretty damn good.
I mean, they lost Steele, but yeah, I mean, Imanaga is unbelievable.
Yeah, they have a good roster, and also there are surprise teams like Cincinnati that can sneak into the playoffs this year.
Actually, Eric picked Cincinnati.
So did Mr. Nick Goody.
So pick one of them.
Nick Goody's World Series pick for the National League.
He only did that because he has like a love fetish for Terry Francona.
Did he really pick the Reds to go to the World Series? Oh God!
Listen,
if they get to the postseason, it's a blessing.
It was his manager over there with the Guardians, so he has this love fest for him. So does Jabba, who actually has been managed from Terry Francona, and both guys said that Terry Francona was probably the best manager they ever had to manage them. So they speak high volume of what Francona is.
We call that in the business high praise. That is what it is.
No, whatever.
High volume, high praise. But did you see the news about Popovich today?
Yep.
Amazing.
I
mean, you know what's going to happen once he had I think it was a heart attack he had.
Yes.
Once you knew it was, and plus
I think it was a stroke, wasn't it?
It might have been a stroke.
Yeah,
but, I mean, I think now it's fascinating because we were all putting our stamp on Wembanyama, learning from Pop because he taught Duncan and Robinson and Parker and Ginobili, and he developed those guys. And now Wembanyama's not going to have that. And I'm very curious. There's a lot of pressure.
Let me ask you a question. Everybody keeps giving Popovich. Everybody keeps giving Popovich all the praise of what he developed. Okay, let's be honest and quite honest with you. The GM has been there since the beginning. The GM's the one who drafted these guys. Now, everybody keeps talking about what Popovich has done. What has he done since Tim Duncan has retired? Absolutely nothing. They haven't won a championship since Tim Duncan's retirement. Fine, they developed him, and then he goes over there to Toronto and wins a championship with them without Tim Duncan.
On a lucky bounce, but yes,
it doesn't matter. The fact is when you look at if you look at Popovich, and everybody keeps saying, "Well, Popovich is the greatest coach of all time," I disagree. Popovich couldn't do it without Tim Duncan, and that's a fact. I've seen guys like Phil Jackson, he did it on multiple teams and he did it with multiple players. Yes, superstar players, but Shaq and Kobe. Hold on one second. Shaq and Kobe did not win until Phil Jackson came in. Okay, because Shaq and Kobe were together for 1 year until Phil Jackson came in, and then Phil Jackson helped them win 3 championships in a row. How about this? Kobe, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, when they were together for 1 year, they didn't win until Phil Jackson came in and he took over for the team. So everybody wants to say, well, you need the superstars, but you need the coach.
Do you like Phil Jackson?
I think he's a great coach. I think he's great.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think he's a great coach. He's a terrible GM.
How about GM? Was?
No, he's horrible.
Oh.
It's horrible for the Knicks. He robbed the Knicks.
Oh yeah, he did. He was
He
doing business from his home in Wyoming.
he was falling asleep at the combines. He wasn't even paying attention. He did draft Porzingis, and he was right about Porzingis. But there was a point guard who he drafted from France that wasn't so good, and it cost the Knicks. And I remember because there's a guy on the Cavaliers, Mr. Spider, that every single executive, including all the guys under Phil Jackson, that said, including Scott Perry, that said that we want him. And they decided to go after Frank Ntilikina, and it was a big mistake because look what the Spiders become.
What was the year they passed on Giannis? Was that the Kevin Knox one?
I don't remember.
No, Knox was a lot later. That was, I think, after Ntilikina.
I forget what year it was, but again, the Knicks have never made the right sacrifices in the drafts.
Do we think the draft's going to be fixed?
I do.
Week?
I do.
76ers, right?
Nets.
No.
I want the Nets. I want the Nets to get.
No.
I want them to
get. I know
get.
who's going to get them.
It better not be the Spurs.
It's going to be the 76ers.
It better not be the Spurs. I'll be pissed.
It's going to be Philly.
No, I don't think it's going to be Philly. Here's my prediction.
They're going to fix that thing and put him. They're going to put Flag with Maxey and Embiid and George. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make Philly relevant again.
I think Washington wins. I think Washington or Utah are going to get him. That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking. But I want to see him go to the Nets. I think it would be great to see Cooper Flag in New York. I know everybody's going to say, well, you want to see him with the other New York team, but you get a chance to go and watch one of the best young players.
Local small business. It's very nice.
You want to get a chance to see one of the best young players that the NBA hasn't seen in a very long time. I'm telling you right now.
Would you go to Barclays to go watch
100%.
You would go to Barclays? I could see you.
First of all, I love Cooper Flag. I've been watching him and praising him since he came out of high school ball. And I remember in 9th grade, and I know everybody said, oh, we all knew he was good, but not as good as I was predicting him to be. I said that he was the white Kevin Durant. And I'm telling you right now, he is. He is that good. And everybody's gonna giggle and joke about this when Kevin Durant.
The way it was said.
Why? He's the white Kevin Durant? What do you want me to say? Caucasian Kevin Durant? He's the white Kevin Durant. That's what he is. What's so bad about that?
Nah. Good for you or good for me?
It's good for both of us. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I had to go there, Josh.
Well, we have 5 more minutes left. That's
Pain.
Pain for sure. I'll tell you. All right, so predictions for Knicks Celtics. I say Celtics in 6. Anybody want to go first?
I had 5 closer games.
Celtics.
I'm going to be the crazy one, and I'm going to go crazy on this. I think the Knicks win in 7.
What? If the Knicks beat the Celtics, they're going to the finals.
Knicks win in 7. My prediction, I think the Knicks are going to surprise a lot of people in this series, and I'm not saying it because I'm a Knicks fan. Something tells me something crazy is going to happen in this series. Somebody's going to get under somebody's skin. And I think Mitchell Robinson plays a big part in this series if they want to win it. And Thibodeau needs to step back and realize what his strengths are as a team and what the weaknesses of his team is. And OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson are going to play a big part if they're going to win the series. My prediction, the Knicks in 7. I'm gonna be the only person that picks the Knicks in 7.
I'm going to reiterate this because
Yes.
Jabba said I didn't hear the show at the beginning of the show yesterday, so I'm going to reiterate again because I feel like it's my freaking show, okay? We proud for Giannis not decking Halliburton's father.
I give him a lot of credit because if it was me...
That was one of the worst losses a team could ever have, and
Yeah.
the fact that he didn't knock the guy out senseless was impressive.
I give Charles Barkley a lot of credit coming out and saying what he said. I do believe Giannis is a real gentleman. He went up there after the game and he said, listen, you don't do that in basketball. You got to be a little bit more respectful about, what we do for a game that not many people get a chance to play on a big stage. And I got to give Giannis a lot of credit because if it was me, I'm decking his ass.
Who's worse? Tyrese Halliburton's father or Jeff Ulbricht's son?
How about
That's a good question.
Who's the bigger douche? That should have been your douche of the day. Jeff Ulbricht's son.
No.
That should have been.
I don't
He
think
picks Juan Soto.
No.
Picks Juan Soto.
I'm sure Errol would.
morons out there.
Josh, I'm sure Errol would encourage that behavior on Shador, though.
You like I said. You
If it was anyone else getting prank called, it would be different.
why are you screaming? First of all,
how much do you hate Tyrese Halliburton?
I don't hate him.
Really, I can't stand him.
I don't hate him.
I wanted the Knicks to draft him. And
I think he's a great player, and if he was a Knick, you'd love him. I don't think
him on the Knicks.
I think he's overrated. I think, first of all, if you would ask me right now, who should have been picked to play as the backup point guard for the United States team, it's absolutely Jalen Brunson over Haliburton. I didn't understand that, but
Albert didn't even play.
it doesn't matter. You could have
played more than
But that's not my argument here. To me, Jalen Brunson deserved to make that United States team. He's been one of the top 3 point guards in the league for the last 3 years. Why didn't he make the team? It doesn't make any sense. But again, it's favoritism, and it's LJA. It's the LeBron James Association. And if you want to call the USA team, I call them the LJ US of A. So it's the LeBron James USA team. So it's always about LeBron James. As we all know, Jaylen Brown should have made that team too, but because LeBron James don't like him, he didn't make the team either. So it's shame on the United States team and the organization as a whole and all the executives running it for not putting Jalen Brunson on that team or any of the other guys that should have made the team, including Brown. So,
and meanwhile, the first round of the playoffs is still going on. We got game 6 tonight, right, between the Rockets and the Warriors, which I think that will end tonight. Warriors will win. And then the Knicks Pistons series was great. I think the best series of the whole postseason so far has been the Denver Clippers series.
Yes.
It's been fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, that Aaron Gordon shot in game 4 was ridiculous.
And the only reason why the Clippers are still in this and still could win this series.
Because Paul George is not there anymore.
No, because Kawhi Leonard is actually healthy. And Kawhi Leonard steals the show. I think people forget how great Kawhi Leonard was and what he is. When Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he was considered a top 3 player in the league. He was. Yeah. And to me, when he's healthy, he can be an absolute change for a team. And the Clippers, don't be surprised if the Clippers win this series. They go all the way to the Western Conference Finals and challenge any one of them. I think they could beat OKC. I just don't trust the youth of the OKC Thunder. As good as they are, something tells me when somebody can get under their skin or the going gets tough, if you're going to depend on one player to score all your points, that's when your team starts to fall off. And Shai Alexander has been sensational. He's probably going to win the MVP.
But my curiosity is not to cut you up, but my curiosity is with SGA, who's going to step up for OKC?
I don't know.
That's the problem.
I don't know.
I mean, they had who was the All-Star
Williams.
that went
Williams is a good
OKC?
player.
Who was the other All-Star that went for them this year?
It wasn't Holmgren because he got hurt.
It must have
been Jalen Williams then.
Yeah, it was probably Jalen Williams, but I mean, Williams.
I know his agent, by the way. We're going to get him. I'm trying to get him on the show. So
get him on this show. That'd be nice.
Maybe. I think it's pretty cool. And by the way, I want to know what your thoughts of Sullivan being the new head coach for the New York Rangers.
I was trying to avoid this segment.
Wow.
But I know I'm going to get ridiculed for whatever it is. My thoughts are it was a no-brainer of a hire. He's one of the best coaches in the league. He's a culture changer. He's the one guy that will have the balls to tell Chris Drury, you're wrong. He'll be around for a long time. I think Drury's the one that's going to be let go. I don't trust Chris Drury with a 10-inch pole, period, a 10-foot pole, period. I can't because he's done nothing. But Drury tried to get this guy twice. Tried to get him before Gallant. He stayed in Pittsburgh. Tried to get him before Laviolette. Stayed in Pittsburgh. Now they got him. And again, his resume speaks for itself. He is one of the best coaches in the league. He's going to the Hall of Fame too. He's one of the greatest American-born coaches to ever. He's the only American-born coach to ever win back-to-back Stanley Cups. You know what I mean? So that to me is an impressive feat in itself. I think the New York Rangers needed a culture change. I think he's going to help Sullivan in that perspective. Where they're going to go next, I have to see. There's going to be a lot of things. The Brady Tkachuk rumors are going to get.
Did you know that Sullivan's daughter is engaged to Charlie McAvoy?
Did you know Mike Sullivan used to be the head coach in Boston?
Yeah, no.
Early on in his career, he was pretty good. Did you know that, Speedy? He was pretty good. 04, yeah. His first year went to the playoffs. Yep. And then Tortorella will not be following him to the Rangers. The report was he was going to. He decided he's not going to. My thought process to that is
Somebody's interested in him.
Somebody's interested in him, and he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else.
Maybe the Islanders. There's a possibility.
I would have loved Torch just to make him make Zibanejad cry in the corner. That's what I wanted to see.
They better figure out what's going on with Alexis Lafreniere, because if they don't,
Do you know what the nice thing about Sullivan is? He's great with young kids.
But what bothers me about Alexis Lafreniere is how many coaches does he need, or how many coaches do the Rangers need to go through to figure out if this guy is even a good player?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. This is a make or break year for Lafreniere. I agree. They just gave him that contract extension, which he did earn. He had a great season last year, but he had an even better postseason.
Yeah.
So he did earn the contract. The nice thing about Sullivan is that this is something, and I love Peter Laviolette. Gallant I can't stand. I wish I would have thrown him in a taxi cab just like Florida did. Would have been nice. Great. The one thing Laviolette and Gallant never, ever, ever do is play the young kids.
Yeah.
They always go with the vets. The thing about Sullivan, he gives everybody an opportunity. He helped develop Jake Gensel. He helped develop a lot of guys on the Penguins. But he also, you remember for years, Pittsburgh was in a drought, right? He got hired, and they became a juggernaut again, Pittsburgh. And by the way, who were those Stanley Cup champion goaltenders that the Penguins had? Was it Tristan Jarry?
Matt Murray.
Matt Murray.
And I think Jarry.
I mean, he won.
No. First of all, the two championships were Matt Murray.
He's amazing.
He won both of them.
It's amazing that he won back-to-back cups.
It was Marc-Andre Fleury, and then they transitioned
to Murray. Which is amazing,
and Murray won those championships.
Which again is amazing.
And by the way, congratulations to a great career
I agree.
with Marc-Andre Fleury. By the way,
Flower.
Yes, and he is going to the Hall of Fame. He was the number one pick of the draft years and years ago with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and very well deserved for all the craziness that he has dealt with in his career. He put, if you look at his numbers, they're comparable to some of the top 10 goalies, and argue he's one of the top 10 goalies of all time. It's crazy, but Marc-Andre Fleury is definitely a first ballot.
And Minnesota had a chance to win that series, by the way. They let 2 games slip away against Vegas. But going, like I said, to me, I mean, this was the only hire. Once he became available, everybody and their mother knew this was going to happen. It came out. I wrote on my X account, over under 3 days, Sullivan's hired. That was an hour after he was let go by Pittsburgh. It took 4 days instead of 3 days. But, I mean, the nice thing about Sullivan, he knows how to develop. He's been in the minors for years. He was on the USA team. He was learned under John Tortorella. He's had success with the Penguins. And he's got stars on this team, like he did in Pittsburgh, but he's also got young kids who need growth. And that's something Laviolette and Gallant and these guys they didn't want to give these guys an opportunity.
I don't blame Peter Laviolette for the.
Oh no, I agree. It's the players. The players, the veterans were the problems. And
what's going to happen? They gave up on Peter Laviolette, and Peter Laviolette at the end of the season gave up on the players. What's going to happen if this happens again? You have a lot of personalities in the Rangers locker room, and you're not getting rid of Kreider's contract. They extended. You're probably not getting rid of Zibanejad. He has a no trade clause. Panarin right now, he's dealing with all these sex accusations.
He's got 1 more year on his contract anyway.
Are you going to deal with? What are the Rangers going to do?
I mean, the one thing is, again, I don't think you can have a better guy in the room to lead a team that needs a kick in the Swift more than Mike Sullivan, who's learned from the best in John Tortorella.
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of guy, and if you see Sullivan, he is aggressive towards his guys. He doesn't pull back. He does, like, there are times when Laviolette's after games, I'm not even going in the locker room. And I'm just like, well, what is that? What do you mean you're not going in the locker room? Sullivan doesn't pull punches.
Right.
He'll let you, go look at those highlights with Pittsburgh. He got in Crosby's face numerous times. He said it during his post games. He told Crosby, you have to be better.
Right.
Same thing with Malkin. Remember he scratched Malkin for 3 games.
I remember
because Malkin was slacking, and Malkin came back and scored like 10 goals in his next 6 games or 7 games. He doesn't pull back. He will let you hear it, and he doesn't care so.
You know what I'm interested to see? What the Pittsburgh Penguins do in the offseason with Sidney Crosby and Malkin. Now that
they're going to trade them, I think.
Sidney Crosby wants to win another title. Where does he
here?
I'm not saying New York.
Washington.
There's a possibility that he could become available. How about this?
Washington.
Colorado.
Washington.
Colorado.
I think Crosby, Washington.
Joe Sakic,
Nope.
Obviously. Anybody that knows
I
Joe
would
Sakic.
not be shocked. I'm telling you, if Washington and Pittsburgh do a trade for Crosby, or Malkin.
Well,
Because
Malkin's
best friends with
definitely going to be
Ovechkin,
gone.
You know that. I mean, but to me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Colorado's always going to be in the market for the big name, right? We know that they got Brock Nelson.
Joe Sakic.
Joe Sakic's what he does.
He's a great GM.
He's a great GM. They have a great farm system. We know what they have.
I couldn't believe they traded all those picks
But you know
and
what?
one of their best offensive optional players that they could bring up in the future.
And you know what? They still have a top 10 farm system.
I know that, but you gave up 3 first rounds.
They
You
also
gave
have
up
a young team.
You gave up one of your top 3 prospects offensively to the Islanders for Brock Nelson, and two other guys. You gave up 2 first-round draft picks, 2025
But Nelson's been good for
and
them
2026.
too. Nelson's been good for them, and I think the missing piece, and I think they're down 3-2 in the series with Dallas right now.
3-3.
It's
Oh,
tied now.
3-3.
Yeah, they won yesterday.
I could tell you this: X factor going forward. I want to see, and I really hope he does come back strong. And I think a lot of people do. Is Gabriel Landeskog.
Right.
You want him. He was a superstar trending that way, and he had the horrible, horrible injury that happened. And if you could get Landeskog back to what he, even a semblance, a snippet of what he was, you're not beating Colorado. You're not going to.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be impossible. But nevertheless, I think the Florida Panthers are winning the whole thing.
So do
It
I.
doesn't matter.
So do I. I think and Florida has an unbelievable farm
They
system too.
whooped the snot out of Tampa Bay. Man.
And Tampa is a great team. They had a great season, and they made them look like a paper.
I wonder what
paper
happens to
ball.
Tampa. Is Cooper gone? Does he leave?
No.
But does he leave on his own?
He'd be the hottest coach available if he does. He'd be the hottest coach.
I think he's going to stay one more year. I mean, Cooper's got a lifetime contract there in Tampa. Why would you want to leave? It's a tax-free state. You live in Tampa, Florida. Why would you want to leave? No reason. You've had success there. You're going to the Hall of Fame.
My question is, does Quinville ever get a coaching job in the NHL?
He's
again?
interviewed with Anaheim twice now. He's had 2 interviews with Anaheim. So
I mean,
clearly he's on the list of being allowed to do.
He is one of the best NHL coaches.
He would have won a cup in Florida if not for all the stuff that would have happened. But who's the head coach in Florida? Maurice?
Paul Maurice.
Paul Maurice.
He's great too.
He's great too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think of the top coaches that are in the league right now in the NHL. Maurice is obviously one. Cooper's another one. You have to give Sullivan his flowers. He's won 2 cups. The Colorado coach, I would say, is another one.
There's a couple of good.
It's a couple.
Dallas has a great coach.
Vegas with
Cassidy. Yeah.
With Cassidy.
Mhm.
And everything.
Cassidy, he left Boston and
He won a cup.
Yeah,
and
he
he's
won.
right back there again.
I'll tell
What
you,
about Montgomery?
Cassidy was very, very nice. When I actually got a chance to interview him when they lost against St. Louis, he was very, very nice. And even when they lost, he interviewed with the press and had a good conversation with a lot of the press guys. Even the blog writers actually got a chance to interview him. He wasn't a piece of garbage like Binnington was. So he's another. He's another.
I mean, there's so many good coaches. I would say 9 in your. I'd say top 5. Maurice,
Craig
Cooper.
Berube. I think he's one of them.
He's won 1.
Mhm.
I would say top 5.
Yeah, but look what he's done for Toronto
No, I
since he's
agree.
taken over.
But I would say top 5 that have had success and everything is obviously the 2 in Florida, Maurice and Cooper. You have to give
Sullivan.
You'd have to give
Peter Laviolette.
He doesn't have a job right now.
No, but he is.
Active.
Yeah.
I'm saying active.
Cooper.
I said Cooper and Maurice. That's 3.
Mhm.
You would have to say, I want to give Montgomery his due, but he hasn't won a cup. That's the issue. He hasn't won a cup. He's doing good. What is he, Winnipeg now?
St.
No,
Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis, and they
Which
were
was
one of the
incredible.
best teams in the second half.
I would say Berube, I guess you could put as 1, and then
I would say there's a second tier, and I would put Berube as a second tier top coach.
Cassidy
Cassidy
would be in that second tier.
Yes.
Brendan Moore. But Brendan Moore
He's never won.
He's never won, but he dominates.
Did he win? Did he
No,
win? No.
No,
not
as a coach.
player.
Eastern
No.
Conference Finals, they
No,
went to
as a
twice.
player.
Yeah, as a player he did. I remember
player,
him
he
Philadelphia
won.
and Pittsburgh.
But it's amazing. He wins every single season without any semblance of goal.
He's got one of the ugliest noses I've ever seen.
Yes, he does. He's actually, he looks like a former player.
Mhm.
Ugly
nose.
Oh, how could we miss one of them in the second tier? And he hasn't won a cup yet, but he's gonna win one. Carberry. The job Carberry's done has been sensational. That team was on a rebuild.
How about
seed.
how about there's a guy in Edmonton that is going to win in Knobloch.
Yeah, I know. Chris Knoblauch, who I also wanted as the head coach.
Yeah, he's going to be he's probably the best young coach right now in the NHL.
And Carberry, I would say it's between the two of them.
I like what Knobloch's done.
I like what Knobloch's done too, but I think but the thing about what Knobloch, he has McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, but when he went over there, he turned them from a bad team to a good team.
No, 100%. But
pretty quick.
When you have McDavid and Draisaitl, were two of the best players in the league, well,
no goaltending, you're still doing what you're doing.
But what did Carberry have? He had everybody thought a 40-year-old Alexander Ovechkin and what? With one of the worst farm systems in the league.
They have a very good defensive team, and their goaltending is always good. Washington always has good goaltending.
They fixed the goaltending when they got Thompson.
Mm-hmm. But they always have good goaltending. Always do.
Are we going to give credit to St. Louis yet for getting Montreal to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think Martin St. Louis is.
I love when they hired him.
Yeah, he's got a good personality, and he knows how to coach, and he knows how to.
Unfortunately, they have the wrong guy leading the organization, Jeff Gordon. But
yeah. Well, I mean, Jeff didn't do such a bad job with the Rangers. He drafted, but he drafted very well. He had good drafts.
He was handed the draft pick.
It doesn't matter. He drafted very well when he was there.
Who did?
I mean, if you go back,
well.
Yeah, he did.
Do you want me to go through all the draft picks?
That's because of the development of the coaches. You can't blame him.
Vitaly Kravtsov was a good draft pick.
And Vitaly Kravtsov never came. He barely actually went. It took him 4 years to come up with the Rangers. He was over there in the KHL.
Do you want me to go, Elias? They got a top 10 draft pick for Derek Stepan. And they wasted it on Elias Anderson.
You look at all the bad things that he did.
No,
you don't look
I
at
look
the
at
good.
good things too. He signed your favorite Ranger. What do you mean? Jacob Trouba.
I didn't like Jacob Trouba.
That was the point.
And who extended him even longer?
He didn't extend him longer. He was on that contract still. That contract was a 6-year deal.
No, I think that was Davidson that extended him.
Oh, great.
And Davidson and Drury was there too. He agreed to that too. So Chris Drury loved Trouba when he came over there, and then all of a sudden, actually gave him the C. It was either him or Kreider, and he was so excited.
Kreider didn't want it,
but he was
I
excited.
remember when the beef called.
Wait,
so bad.
Let me say something, and I'm going to say this: Chris Drury, and this is the truth. Chris Drury loved Jacob Trouba. The only reason why he got rid of Jacob Trouba is because the fans were absolutely killing him all over the social media realm.
Horrible.
I'm just saying.
He couldn't skate anymore.
I can't stand Chris Drury. I know.
You hated Jacob Trouba too.
Yes, but I know Chris Drury because I played hockey with him, and he's an ass. He's an ass.
Yes, and I understand you don't like him. There's a lot.
Him and DiPietro.
Dang it! You stole my thunder. I was just gonna say you hate a lot of people.
Those two guys. I played hockey. I played USA hockey with them, and they're both idiots.
Chris Drury was a good player, though.
No, he wasn't.
Yes,
no, he wasn't.
Yes,
no, he wasn't.
What's his career number, Speedy?
Go ahead. Go look at his. He definitely didn't hit 300 goals. He definitely didn't.
He's probably close.
No, he didn't. He didn't hit 300. It doesn't matter.
He got screwed by Briere.
He was not good.
He got screwed by.
He was all right.
He got screwed by Daniel Briere.
I take Michael Pekka over him with my eyes closed.
I love Michael Pekka.
Yeah.
He's gonna get a job somewhere.
255 career goals, 360 career assists. 650.
It's not good. That's not good.
That's pretty good.
That's not good. How many games?
892.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good. That you're telling me in 300 and some odd games.
So what is that now? What was that? 18 goals a season? What 30, 40 something assists?
I don't know.
Probably.
I don't think it's 18 goals. I would say it's
a little more, maybe.
Probably 15 goals. Yeah. 15 goals.
I mean, he got screwed by Briere, but he signed with the Rangers because Briere was supposed to join him, and then Briere last minute went to Philly, and then they had their scramble and signed Scott Gomez, and we all know how that went. God help us.
So it looks like his average is kind of between 20 and 24 a season.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about in the games played.
Yeah, it looks
if you average the games played and points, he's not averaging a point a game.
No, he's not.
So he's not good. I'm sorry. When you look at Pierre Turgeon and you look at what Pierre Turgeon did, they're completely different play. That guy was a great player. I mean, if you think that he's not even close to a Hall of Famer, Chris Drury. So he's so overrated. Everybody, all the United States hockey players that I've seen come out of United States hockey, he's one of the worst and one of the more overrated ones. I remember when he played for the Rangers, a little bit of time he played for the Rangers. And then when he went to the Colorado Avalanche, the guy was so overrated and he's not a great he's not a great hockey mind. And anybody who thinks that he is just shows you how gullible and stupid you are. So
Well, I want to thank you tonight for joining me.
absolutely.
This was fun. What did this feel like all over again?
Oh yeah.
Next time, bring your mic a little bit closer because it.
Well, I
no,
can't.
it's,
Tommy,
it's
Tommy,
on.
Tommy
Are you
Poops.
using the mic over there?
Yeah, Tommy Poops is the one that I don't want to.
Yeah,
touch his
but
stuff.
you could touch it.
I don't
mean,
want to touch his stuff.
you were
He's
like
got diarrhea all
this
over
is
it.
this is how you were talking the whole show.
Why had to help my back? Why had to help my back?
I'm just then get closer. That's a great seat. That's a $400 chair. I can't sit on, and I have this guy sitting on my chair because it doesn't look right in the camera. So he's using my chair, my $400 chair. Yeah, Tommy Poops, ladies and gentlemen.
Before we go, we have to do a "You're Better Than That" segment, which we
Let's
know.
go.
It's something we didn't talk about. Speedy, you can always start first. Ladies first. Go.
All right. Well, since
And I
he's-
love how he answers after I say
You used
that.
to get a drop for this.
We will.
Josh,
When?
Josh, for all the times that Eric has
10
made
years from now.
Yeah, possible.
so Josh, for all the times that Eric has made you his "You're Better Than That," which is probably at least 5 times, I'm going to do it for him and his fantasy baseball team. We're right now in first in our league, and he's last place, and he's
Yeah,
17
he's
and
brutal.
7 games back.
I was never asked to play, by the way.
7
Ran
games
him a
back.
room.
You never
You want to
asked.
join? It's not my league.
You never asked.
He's 7 games
It's not
back.
my league. I like winning.
So Josh, he's 7 games back in the 9th place team with your most
How
overrated
about this? You
pitcher.
take over Speedy's team.
I probably do a lot better.
You take over Eric's team right now, but Errol will never
Yeah.
do that because Josh Chisholm's on it. So
Well,
true.
Speedy went first 2
I
rounds. with-
traded. He would be the first person I traded.
Speedy decided, hey, let me go first 2 rounds of starting pitching, which is a terrible idea. You go everyday player first 2
And
rounds.
his name's not he's not Jazz Chisholm. It's Jazz Jism.
That's
Okay?
right.
That's what he is.
It's Jazz.
He's
Jism.
he's nothing
Whoa!
more
Jazz
than a
Jism.
piece of jizz, ladies and gentlemen. A little cum can help everybody in many different ways.
So Childish Bambino, you're better than that.
Mr. Errol Marks, what is your better than that segment?
I wasn't thinking about it, but
You're not thinking about a lot of things.
no, I'm licking everything, if you know what I mean. No, I'm not. But anyways, my think you're better than that goes to Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns, who was over the last 7 years watching him play playoff basketball with the Timberwolves has been absolutely putrid, and maybe that's one of the reasons why the Timberwolves never got over the hump. Absolutely never played in the NBA Finals because this guy just lays lousy goose eggs. And then obviously watching him play in this series against Detroit, where they're so much better, and he is by far the best big man in that series, and not in what 2 or 3 games just do nothing. I would say that he should be better than that. So my better than that goes to Karl Anthony Towns and the absolute terrible basketball we've seen in the Detroit Pistons series. So you think I'm better than that, or you think I'm beautiful as that, right, Speedy? Duh.
Force milk out of somebody's body.
Whoa. Well, I don't know when you said that.
I'm going to trust a medical professional.
I never heard of a skin flute.
That's a new one. My you're better than that is quite simple. That is in regards to where we are with safety in professional sports. And it's not just about what happened with the Tyrese Halliburton situation. It's about a lot of situations that have been happening the last year. And it's also been happening in big spots, in big moments. A la at Yankee Stadium with the fan grabbing the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove, with Tyrese Halliburton's father getting on the court. And by the way, if you notice when those 2 things happen, no semblance of security or anything anywhere for ages. That's where my fear comes in. I'm like if I'm Mookie Betts or if I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm like, what is happening? Where's the security? Why is this happening? You know?
LJA, LeBron James Association. If LeBron's not playing, there is no security.
So to me, all sporting event security, anything, get yourself together, because I'm at the point now after that World Series moment happened, I said the Nets should be going across now the outfield now. We're almost at that point where we're like, but you put the cages at times in soccer, in the pits at soccer games. Well, they took those away actually after the Liverpool incident. But all security in sporting events.
How about not even play in front of fans? That's
Did that in 2020.
yeah. I mean, obviously,
don't do that. That's terrible. Why
I
would
know,
you do that?
and you're not going to make as much money.
Why
But
would you
hey,
do that?
actually, you can sell for more TV deals, and then you can actually sell the sport more
Well-
on the digital end than the positive end of going to watch the games. That's never going to happen. But
No, it will never.
just saying.
Absolutely not.
I'm
And,
just
and by all sporting events, security, you're better than that. Last thing, did you see SNY?
Why doesn't he have Owen do it?
Did you see SNY's up for sale?
yes, I saw that.
And did you see who's probably going to buy it? Thank God, because
Yes.
the
Uncle Stevie?
the shows on that network are horrendous.
That's why we should be reaching out to Uncle Stevie, because I think Uncle Stevie would actually at a show like this that could actually sell to the public, because right now watching, and you know what I'm going at,
Yeah.
Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber every single day, 2 hours a day, is to me is just absolutely putrid. It makes me want to hurl. And WFAN needs to figure out what's going on with their product, because WFAN and ESPN are falling apart, and they're doing it right in front of our eyes. The biggest and most important marketplace when it comes to sports radio and digital radio, and they have the worst shows in America. It's just been absolutely terrible, and I don't want to watch it anymore. I don't watch it anymore. So SNY needs to figure out what they're doing
Well,
as far as their product is
the
concerned.
content on that network is atrocious. But yes, check us out, worldwidesportsradio.com, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Periscope. You can check us out also as Job on the Mouth have their own TikTok,
Yes, we do.
all that, and so much more. You can check out the guys on
What do we got? Speedy?
Tuesday.
It's 22,000?
Was it Tuesday and Thursdays or Monday and Thursdays?
We are
Monday
Mondays and
Thursday.
I'm
Thursdays.
trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, well,
Mondays and
I
Thursdays.
understand, but I'm trying to look at how many TikTok. Because Speedy,
Don't
should
forget to
know
check out
that.
the Weekend Crunch
Yeah.
on Saturday at 7 p.m. on 103.9 with Errol and Speedy. That's always a fun time.
That was
What
the
is
show right
happening?
there.
What
I'm
is
just
going
trying-
on now?
Speedy should be looking at 21.7 thousand and almost 30,000 likes.
I wish
That's their TikTok.
That's nice.
Mhm. You should be posting up TikTok. You gotta.
These
figure-
are things for off the air.
I'm just saying. I
I'm
mean,
saying.
I honestly think Instagram should be your number one priority.
agree.
right now. I think that should be your number
Well,
one priority.
we
for
that is something that
game on.
Eric and I have discussed.
Okay,
It's
so
happening. It's
do
in
it
the
and
works, don't
promote
worry.
it.
We will promote
Maybe
it. And
hire a
we will sell
marketing
it.
team.
We'll hire a market. You know what? Honestly, we have discussed this. Yes, but I do love.
I can help you with that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I always appreciate your help. You know
Mhm.
that, and I appreciate both of your helps tonight.
Well, you're a part of our network, so whatever we can do to help you. I mean, Speedy likes to play with himself.
This was fun tonight.
Yeah, it
This
was.
brought back sports loudmouths.
Yes, it did. I mean, Speedy, did
This
you
was
enjoy
crazy.
yourself?
What?
Did you have your hands in your pants while you were playing?
Was it good for you or good for me?
It was good for all.
Both of us.
You really have to go there?
Yeah, do it.
Good for me or good for you? It's good for both of us.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Willie Whoppers,
Woo! Willie Whoppers!
we all know about the
Oh,
Willie.
man, it's a Friday night. Ladies and gentlemen, for Speedy,
Is it
P,
like
for
your
Errol
push?
Marks, I'm Josh Silberg. Thank
Don't
you so
trim
much.
away
As
like
Errol
you're
plays
trim
all
away
the
my
sound
leg.
bites before we go.
Yes, here
Have
we
a great
Would you stick a
weekend,
finger in his
everybody.
ass?
Enjoy your sports.
Chicks
Talk
with
to you
dicks.
next week. This has been Game
Chicks
Live
with
on the
dicks.
Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Chicks with dicks.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.